wish that I could stay forever this young. Not afraid to close my eyes. Life's a game made for everyone, and love is the prize. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the final competition of the 2015 IPC Nordic Skiing World Championships. My name is Dennis Cruz. I'm joined here in the booth today by local radio personality Hans Avensson. And Hans, we've got a little bit different weather here.
Well, I think the weather certainly is going to be a wild card today, Dennis, and we've got a front coming off the lakeshore bearing down, and we're not seeing a lot of snow right now, but referring to it as a wild card, I guess it could still be a factor. If this snow picks up and the winds continue, there's no question visibility will, at least that, will be a factor.
And if you saw on our graphic there, the current conditions are approximately 5 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius. That would be a minus 15. With the wind chill factor, a little bit colder than that. And Hans, as we look out here, the winds are pretty brisk.
Indeed they are, Dennis, and if they continue like this through the events today, yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's going to I think for the first time this week we may have a little bit of an effect on the competition.
And as we came into this competition, we can see a graphic of the course. This is a format that if you've been watching the various days of competitions, you're starting to be familiar with this. The athletes leave the stadium and they ski down a slight hill and go off across the golf course. They make a road crossing at the end of that loop. I saw it when I came in early this morning. The course workers are already out there on a very chilly morning, making sure the best of conditions exist. And then they come across the base of a ski hill, climb up, descend, climb up and descend. So there's quite a bit of elevation here. In fact, in these races, there's going to be 85 meters of total climb with a maximum climb of 32 meters.
And we had below zero temperatures last night, Dennis, so that track is going to be hard and packed tight.
Yeah, we were just talking, Hans, before we came on the air that we're very fortunate, though. This is really the first kind of bitter cold morning
Absolutely.
We've had.
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it.
And here's our start list, and this is the mixed relay. And you'll see the first team is Ukraine, followed by Finland, Canada, Norway, the United States, Russia, and Germany. And this is an interesting format. These skiers, and there will be 4 on each team, will each ski a lap of 2.5 kilometers. The total distance of the race then is going to be 10 kilometers this morning. And these teams can choose their own lineups. The requirement in the mixed relay, if 2 laps have to be skied by a woman, so we have women and men. It's very interesting as we look down our start list, Hans. Some teams have chosen to ski a woman twice. For example, Ukraine will have Kononovov skiing in the second lap and then the fourth. Other teams have chosen to have, for example, the United States, we're going to have Oksana Masters and Tatjana McFadden. And also you're going to see a mix of the abilities or categories of these skiers. So you'll see standing skiers, visually impaired skiers, and sit skiers. And there's an adjustment made based on the category they ski in. So sometimes I think it's the coaches are making a careful calculation, Hans.
Well, I look at this lineup, Dennis. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is it's kind of an all-star team today, isn't it? All-Star Sunday a little bit with some of these athletes. I mean, these are some that have shined all week, and yeah, they're putting the best of the best up for these relays.
Yeah, if you and I were talking about this earlier. If you look at the results this week, you would kind of expect probably Russia to be a favorite, followed by what? The Ukraine, you think, Hans?
I think the Ukraine, and I also think we have to look at the U.S. As well. I mean, they've had an amazing week. Andrew Soll with 5 medals. Oksana Masters has medaled twice. And, these are some of the best. Tatjana McFadden, also an outstanding sit skier. And, of course, Omar Barmejo is also an outstanding skier in his own right. So this truly is a team I think we have to really consider as far as a favorite.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting as these skiers go off because, like in any relay, some teams are going to put their best skier first. Some are going to have it on the anchor leg. But then you add in this category difference of standing, visually impaired, and sit skiers. It's going to be really exciting.
It's going to be very exciting, Dennis. It's going to be a very unique event today, and I think it's going to be really fun for the spectators, and I know it's going to be fun for you and I as well.
Okay, if you see the Ukrainian team warming up there, that's the guide waving his arms, and the skier is Kovalevsky, Antonoli Kovalevsky. And then if we look at Finland, for example, they're going to go with a sit skier right out of the start. Ikla Tomisto of Finland will start for Finland.
What's going to be interesting, Dennis, is going to see how, for example, Ukraine's strategy using Alexandra Kononova twice as opposed to some of these other teams with 4 individual skiers, if that's going to work to their advantage or not.
Yeah, and I made a big mistake there. Finland starts with a standing skier in Tomisto. Canada starts with Chris Klebel, a standing skier. Norway starts with a woman in the sit ski category, Marianne Martinson. The United States starts with their outstanding sit skier, Oksana Masters. And then Russia starts with a sit skier, Natalia Kocherova.
And I noticed Norway is also taking the cue from Ukraine. They are, of course, skiing Marianne Martinson twice.
She's had great results here through these competitions. And the race is on. This is our first event today. 2.5 by 4 mixed relay. Wearing bib number 1 will be Ukraine. Bib number 2 is Finland. 3 Canada. 4 Norway. 5 United States. 6 Russia. 6 teams in this competition.
What's really interesting, Dennis, is as we talked about, we have different types of skiers competing together on one track.
Absolutely, and you know, in the case of the visually impaired, they're out there with a guide. Then we've got sit skiers and standing skiers.
The question is, how do they all coexist, and how well do they coexist out there?
This event will be followed at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time by the last event of these World Championships, and that's going to be 4 by 2.5 open relay. And in that category, the teams can choose anyone or any gender they wish. And as I look down that start list, Hans, it looks like that field of teams is going to be made up entirely of men.
Indeed. It's a male, fully male-dominated event. As you look at the 4 from each country, yes, it's an all-male lineup.
But again, much like this first race, you'll see different categories in the Paralympic athletes. So we've got some sit skiers, we've got some standing skiers, and we have some visually impaired skiers as well.
Well, there's no question Russia has put together a very strong lineup here, the 4 that they have chosen for this event. All have had tremendous success this week.
Right, they lead off the Russian team with Natalia Kocherova, and then they go to the visually impaired skier, Elena Remetsova, and her guide is Maxim Pirogov. And then they go to the sit skier, Alexei Bychunk, and then they finish with the visually impaired skier, Stanislav Choklaev.
I don't think we can count out Canada either, Dennis. That's a strong lineup, and I made the comment to you when we were looking at the lineups before. I mean, led by Chris Klebel and Mark Ahrens, who are outstanding skiers. Brittany Hudak had an outstanding day yesterday. Emily Weeks also skied very well. So these are 4 skiers that, as of the last couple of days, have been really on top of their game.
Yeah, as we go into our last competition, I know these are starting to be very familiar names to you and I.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there you see the takeoff zone. And I'll give you a quick rundown. For the Ukraine, the second skier to go out is the young woman, Alexandra Kononova. And she's going to be in the standing category. Jarvala, another standing category skier from Finland, will ski the second leg. As Hans just mentioned, Mark Ahrens, standing category skier from Canada, will ski the second leg. The Norwegian team will have Nils Erik Alset, standing category skier, on the second leg. And then the United States will have their most decorated world champion medalist in its history, Andrew Soll, skiing the second leg, followed by finally the Russian team, and as I mentioned, the visually impaired skier, Elena Remetsova.
Well, Niels-Erik Lustad had made a comment to me that Friday he was looking for gold. Maybe it'll be Sunday.
And that's Chris Clable, who just went out of your screen. And that's the great Oksana Masters from the USA, already having had so much success here. 6 is the Russian skier Natalia Kucherova. 4 is the Norwegian sit skier Marianne Martinsen. Marianne's going to have to ski again on their third lap.
Now, Dennis, what is the time between skiers? One comes off the course, another one goes out. Is it an immediate send-off?
And we should have a view, I think, Hans, of the tag zone here.
There is a tag. Okay. We hadn't really talked about that.
And Hans, if you want to explain that, we just had a correction.
I thought you were listening.
Okay, no, I can do. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
All
No,
right.
in fact, it's not a tag. What you're going to see is they come across the finish line, and they must cross that line before, in the next lane over,
Okay.
correspondingly, their teammate can go across the start line.
I
So
see.
it's not a tag zone.
Not a tag zone. Okay.
I'm sorry, I stand corrected.
Well, most relays are. That's a standard relay. Part of a relay. So, I would imagine it would be easy to make that assumption.
Yeah, I see the blue suit of Finland out there. Maija Järvelä, she'll be skiing the second lap for Finland. I'm looking at Alexandra Kononova, bib number 1. She's going to take the next lap for the strong Ukrainian team. I see Mark Aronson zipping his jacket as well. He'll ski the second lap for the Canadians.
And again, these are the top competitors, some of the top competitors of each country. And being Super Bowl Sunday, Dennis, I guess this is kind of Super Ski Sunday, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I see that red warm-up of Niels-Erik Olseth. He'll go out as soon as Marianne Martinsen comes across. And this looks like the Finnish skier Tomisto. And it looks like, and he's in the standing category, so he's opened up a little bit of a lead for Finland. Järvelä is going to have to hold that lead. The Ukrainian team with visually impaired skier leading off Kovalevsky. And in fact, he came across before his guide did. So I think his guide got out of the way. He knew his skier was having a great day on this 2.5 kilometer lap course.
Well, we had a hard-packed track, a very cold, a solid, fast track yesterday, and I think we've got just as fast a track today, Dennis.
Right, and now you see a nice shot of the great skier from Canada, Mark Ahrens. That's bib number 3. Here on the first lap, one of our sit skiers is moving through the backside of the stadium. So he'll come in front of us, cross a finish line, and then simultaneously, and that's Mark Ahrens' teammate, I believe, Chris Kleebel, a great sit skier, just a phenomenal athlete.
I think you're right. Great start for Canada.
Mark's quickly on course in the freestyle technique.
That's the first time we got to see the exchange there a little bit, the beginning of one, or end of one and the beginning of the other.
And that's Oksana Masters of the United States, our medalist, and she tags off to medalist Andy Sohl. Strong sit skiing from the United States. Now coming across is Natalia Kucherova.
Andy Sohl, of course, who's won 5 medals during the IPC games this week, Dennis. Unbelievable. When he won the 4th, that was set a record, and he padded that with his 5th yesterday.
And this is the German team. You see that distinctive team suit? I'm sorry, the first skier was a gold medalist, Andrea Eskau. She went out in the sit ski, and this is Tino Uhlig.
Another very strong team, Dennis, from Germany. Andrea Eskau's had an amazing week. And Clara Klug, we watched her ski very well yesterday.
Right, and she'll be in the visually. And that's Tino Uhlig of Germany leaving the start area. We're looking at Mary Beth Chamberlain, the coach. She's assisting her skier, Tatiana McFadden.
You can see her assisting her skier, trying to keep them warm. I have seen effort to keep the skiers warm this week, but that, I think, is probably the most concentrated effort I've seen this week. So it really tells you how cold it is out there, Dennis.
You know, the amazing thing is, saw a nice shot of Tatiana there. Big smile on her face.
Yeah.
Again, this is interesting because you see a guided skier and the visually impaired. You see a standing skier, the Norwegian all set, and then you see a sit skier. And this is such a great event, this mixed relay. Men, women, and all the categories of the Paralympic athletes.
It's just a very unusual look out there on the course.
We're talking about the fact that the previous courses used for the sit ski categories were a little less demanding, but this course, because they want all the athletes in each of these 2.5 kilometer laps to ski the same, so the sit skiers are making a far more difficult, arduous climb than they had in all the previous competition of biathlon and cross-country skiing.
It's going to be interesting to see how they handle that.
Well, listen, I skied up there, and it was actually pretty pathetic.
That's why you're in the booth, Dennis.
So for most of the team, in fact, I believe all the teams, Hans, we've got the second leg skiers on course, and now we're starting to look at the third leg skiers. They will come into this exchange zone.
And, of course, Alexandra Kononova will be going back out, as will Marion Marthinson.
Correct. Whereas the United States is going to use a skier who hasn't raced yet this morning, Tatiana McFadden.
Mm-hmm.
And all those women are in the no, I stand correct. I was going to say two of those athletes, Marianne and Tatiana, have raced against each other in the sit category.
Considering how grueling this will be for the sit skiers, it's going to be interesting to see the fact that this is going to be a tougher trail for them, how that's going to affect the finish.
All right, and I've got our first splits, Hans, and it looks like, and we could see this from who came into the exchange zone first, Finland is leading. The Ukraine is in second, just a couple of seconds back. Canada currently sits in third. The United States, with a great start, is sitting in fourth position. Russia, somewhat surprisingly, a little down, but probably saving their best skiers for last. Then followed by Norway and Germany.
I am a little surprised with that standing for Russia, but as you said, they certainly that's just far from over.
No, if you look through that start list, Choklive is going to be their anchor skier.
Yeah.
Vychanek, I mean, those are two consistent medalists in previous competitions.
Maybe a little surprised Finland's up so high. We talked about some of the favorites. Did not mention them. Of course, every team is. I mean, these are the best of the best. So they're all good teams, all strong teams. So very, very close competition, I think.
And as we look at Finland, their third leg skier will be the young woman in the sit category, Sini Pai. And it looks like, because I believe this is the first of the skiers to finish the second leg, and if that's true, not surprisingly, Ukraine is going to move into the lead. This is the very strong Oleksandra Kononova, and she's going to have a short rest because she's going to ski the anchor leg.
Right. And you were talking about Finland. Sini Pai, of course, will be followed once again. Ilkka Tuomisto will be back out on the course.
And here comes Canada. Mark Ahrens comes across the finish line, and he's going to take off. She's on course right now. That's Brittany Hudak.
Canada really moving quickly out there.
Now we see the young lady Jarvela coming in, and then we'll see the Finnish sit skier. She's just gone back on course, Sini Pai. This looks like, in the distance there, the red team suit of Norway, and that would be Nils Erik Olset, and he's going to tag off Marianne Martinson. She's in the sits category, and as we've talked about, she skied the first leg, so she's already been on course on this very difficult 2.5 kilometer lap.
How much of an advantage, Dennis, would it be for, let's say, somebody like Kononova or whoever's in the team that's skiing twice to know the course better going back out? I mean,
I think that is offset by the fatigue.
Yeah, well, obviously.
Because these are only 2.5, and these are world-class athletes, so the recovery time is not very long.
But you know what to expect, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So maybe you make an adjustment or two going back out that makes your finish stronger.
So we see a couple of teams lining up there, and that's wearing bib number 5 in the sit ski category, the young woman, Tatjana McFadden, who is unbeatable in wheelchair marathon racing, just has phenomenal results. The only athlete to ever win in one season all 4 of the big distance marathons in wheelchair category. Anyway, we also saw the German team come across, and that was Tina Uhlig, and now Clara Klug in the sit ski category leaves the stadium. No, I'm sorry. Clara Klug is in the visually impaired category. I just looked at her guide. And Hans, I know we had light snow at the start, but it looks to me from our vantage point, it's starting to get a little heavier snowfall coming down.
It's picking up, and you know as well as I do, Dennis, that the lake effect snow can be the most unpredictable snow. It can just like that. It can turn into a very heavy snow quickly. It just depends on how far it comes off the shore, and we're right on the cusp of it.
And if you're not accustomed to the sport of cross-country skiing, new snow has the most sharp crystals and therefore the most abrasive. So as far as glide for these athletes, seeing new snow on these tracks is not a positive thing.
No, absolutely not. And it certainly will not help out there as far as keeping your pace.
So we've got on course now the third leg skiers, and we're very soon going to see our anchor leg athletes go off for each of these 7 teams. I'll give you a quick rundown on that. Wearing bib number 1 for the Ukraine, it'll be the young lady Oleksandra Kononova, and she's already skied a leg. Then from Finland, we'll have Tuomisto, who has also already skied a leg. For Canada, we'll have Emily Weeks. For Norway, we'll have Erik Bai, and he's in the visually impaired category. His guide is Hellerud. For the United States, we'll have the standing skier Omar Bermio. And then for Russia, we'll have Stanislav Choklaev. And then Tino Uhlig from Germany, and he will anchor the German team. He also skied the second leg.
when you look at these lineups closer, Dennis, and I didn't really notice it at first when we were looking at it, but it's almost a majority of teams that are going with the same skier.
Right. They're trying to put their strongest athletes on course because this is the final race day, and this is the ultimate event for teams to show their strength in this mixed relay. We're looking at the Russian skier coming in, Alexei Bychunuk.
He appeared to be coasting there for just a moment or two.
Yeah, I think I had the wrong visual of him. This is Marianne Martinson. This is the second time she's had to climb this hill up to the stadium elevation.
And you talked about the fatigue factor, having to go right back out there and do the same, climb the same hill, ski the same course. You're right, Dennis. Familiarity, I think, probably plays a smaller role to fatigue at this point.
Here we see the exchange zone as the anchor skiers are getting ready to go out. See the coach and athlete from Ukraine. Again, that's Alexandra Kononova. She'll be wearing bib number 1.
Nadia stays pretty close to her team.
And that's Clara Klug we saw briefly in the German team suit with her guide. This looks like the Finnish skier, Sini Pai. Here come the Germans. They're wearing bib number 7. And they're going to be anchored by Tino Ulig.
Are you a little surprised Vivian Hosch is not on this team?
Yeah, I agree. That's a name we've spoken of often in these competitions.
Yeah.
This is Canada. This is Brittany Hudak. And it's interesting, you see Brittany is not in the tracks, and I think that's because of this fresh snow.
Yeah.
You know, the deeper depression of the track is even accumulates more fresh snow, abrasive snow, slow snow. So I think she's decided it's going to be easier to just stay out of that track.
It's hard to believe, Dennis, we're getting our last look at some of the world's greatest female athletes here in this relay.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to a number of volunteers, most of whom are kind of reaching the point of exhaustion, all of whom said they're going to miss it. It's kind of bittersweet to see the conclusion of this competition.
It's been amazing. I feel the same way. Just incredible week of competition here at Mount Telemark.
All right, I see the Norwegian team, number 4. They're going to have a visually impaired skier. His name is Erik Bai. His guide is Helrud.
We certainly want to give a shout out to all the volunteers, Dennis. They've done an amazing job, and certainly most of them have just been absolutely tireless. They have just worked as hard as they've needed to be. So,
and Hans, here comes finishing her third leg from the Ukraine, Ludmila Leshenko, and she's been a frequent medalist. It's not surprising that she's had a great leg here, and she's going to tag off Kononova, one of the most decorated athletes here. And Kononova is going in a freestyle technique here. She's quickly out. So my guess is right now, and very unofficially, Ukraine is leading. Canada's looking great right now. That's Brittany Hudak coming across. And Emily Weeks will anchor, and she's on course.
We got another skier coming.
That was Russia.
Yeah.
Alexei Bychunuk. And now we're going to have the great Choklev Stanislav in the sit category in the visually impaired category, anchoring that team.
Well, we talked about Stanislav Choklev, and he really, as you said, is the anchor for the Russian team.
You see those bright team suits of Norway. The guide is Helrud. The skier will be Erik Bai. They're waiting for their athlete, the young woman Marianne Martinson, in the sit category to finish the third leg.
Well, if things remain the way they are, Dennis, this is just the topper of what has been an outstanding week of competition for the Ukraine.
I'm.
And we got somebody coming in right now.
Yeah, I think that's the Norwegian skier, Marianne Martinsen. She
Yep.
skied 2 legs for Norway. And
Wow.
now on course is Eric By, their anchor skier in the visually impaired category. Very quick departure from the start area. Nice freestyle technique.
And one thing, too, Dennis, is some teams chose to put their best at the front and the end. Others put it in different rotation.
So even though you see some, position differences, this could all change in this anchor leg.
Absolutely. Snow continues to increase a little bit more, not significantly, but just a tad.
You see the Germans, they're waiting for their anchor leg skier Tino Uhlig to go out. They're waiting for the visually impaired category skier, the young lady Kara Klug, to come in.
Well, it appears Marianne Martinsen did a very outstanding job in skiing both legs, and she came off the second one pretty good shape.
Well, we hear the guide giving quick instruction to Klara Klug, and now Tino's on course for Germany. Again, quickly we're progressing into the anchor leg of our first event today and the final day of the 2015 IPC Nordic Skiing World Championships.
And how's the U.S. of A. doing out there, Dennis?
Well,
we haven't really heard anything as.
No, but I'm looking at now Omar Bermeo, and he's waiting for Tatjana McFadden, a young lady in the sit-ski category, winner of Chicago, Boston, New York, and London marathons in the wheelchair category.
Again, that hill, very challenging to the sit skiers.
Oh, yeah, it's incomprehensible to
Yeah.
me. There's Omar, a young man who is just a great competitor. And he's off, so that means Tatjana, I missed her finish. So she's come across. Congratulations to McFadden. A great race by there. There she is. A nice view of Tatjana McFadden, the outstanding athlete for the United States. Really nice skate technique by Omar as he leaves the stadium.
Tatiana said this week that she was really, her big hope for the IPC Nordic Skiing World Championships here in Cable was that it would really set the table for the next generation of skiers.
Absolutely, and we've had a pretty good turnout of spectators, and we've had a great viewership of our broadcast. So I hope we're inspiring many young athletes. Ika Tumisto is about to lead because here comes Sini Pai, the young Finnish woman in the sit ski, and now the standing skier. He's also been on course already. He led off for Finland. In just over 30 minutes, we will have our last race of these World Championships, and that's going to be the open relay, where each of the teams can select a composition of athletes by gender or category. And as we were talking about earlier, the 7 teams have all chosen all male teams. And we'll have a new entry in that category. We'll see 4 young men from China skiing.
Dennis, we know how strong a lot of these female athletes are. What's your thinking on the choice unanimously across the board for the countries in that final race?
Well, it's real interesting, and I am hardly an expert, but in talking to our technical delegates and our timing people, adjustments are made based on categories. So, for example, there's an adjustment made to the benefit of women over men, and adjustment made to the benefit of sit skiers over visually impaired and standing skiers. So team selections by our coaches in each of these countries, I think, takes that into consideration. And now at 5 kilometers, the Ukraine leads And about, I'm trying to do my math there, and I'm not very good. Germany's now in first. It's moved ahead of the Ukraine. Canada sits in third. Finland is currently in fourth. Norway is in fifth. Russia is in sixth. The United States is standing in seventh, and I believe that's after the third leg.
Boy, Dennis, it's really close right now between Canada and Finland at number 3 and number 4.
Okay. That was at 5K, those results.
Snow continues to pick up, Dennis.
And that was our first finisher coming in, the Russian skier Stanislav Choklaev.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was fast.
He was so fast. You know, he made up a lot of time because when he went out and he was, you know, had an exchange from the great Alexei Baichanin. And he obviously skied really well. Well, we've seen that all week.
Yeah, there's no question about it.
And now it looks like the team from the Ukraine, and this is very unofficial, it looks like the Russians have won this event, and Ukraine. Oh, I was reminded that there still have to be some time adjustments, so the finish order does not necessarily reflect the medal order. We did have Norway come in, Eric By, the guide in the visually impaired category.
But certainly by the naked eye, that's what it appears to be, but in reality is not the case.
Right. The timing for these events, because of the different categories of the athletes in the Paralympics, is a little more complicated. Alexandra Kononova has also finished. So you see the Norwegians, the team coming in to congratulate each other. It was a strong effort by them with Marianne Martinson skiing twice, Nils Erik Alset the second leg, and then the visually impaired skier Eric By, the anchor. Okay, here we are at 7.5K. The Ukraine sitting in first. Very close. Canada was in second, Russia in third, Norway in fourth, Germany in fifth, the United States in sixth, Finland in seventh. And speaking of Canada, it looks to me like that would be the Canadian young lady Emily Weeks turning for her finish. The anchor skier for Canada.
The anchor leg's really going quickly here, Dennis.
Yeah, this competition has gone very, very fast. And
yeah.
All right, this is, again, unofficial and tentative, but right now it's Russia sits in first, followed by Ukraine, Norway, Canada, great race by the Canadians sitting in fourth position. We've still got a number of teams with anchor leg skiers on course. And then in a little less than 30 minutes, we'll have our final event of the day, the open relay.
And we've got another skier coming in, Dennis.
Yeah, that looks like Tina Uhlig of Germany.
For the second time.
Correct.
Germany's done well.
They have. Again, congratulations. This is unofficial, but to the Russian team, they had two young ladies leading off, starting with Natalia Kocharova and then Elena Remedzova, followed by the sit skier Alexei Baichanin, and then the anchor skier Stanislav Choklaev. This looks like the blue team suit of Finland, and that would be their anchor skier. He skied the first leg, Tomisto.
Ilka's also skied very well.
And this looks like the anchor skier for the United States of America. Let's bring him home, Omar Bermeo. It's a cold day out there, Hans, but as I look across, I see really quite a few spectators who've come out to enjoy this last day of competition for these phenomenal athletes in our World Championships here in Cable, Wisconsin.
I think the look on Omar's face as he came across the line said it's pretty cold out there.
Yeah.
I guess the thing we have to remember, though, Dennis, these athletes are they ski all over the world, and I'm sure they skied in much worse conditions than what they're experiencing here at this final day of the IPC today.
Oh, I agree. I love skiing, but I love it when the conditions are really nice.
You know, the thing, for example, like with Sochi, the elevation and everything, the winds, I just can't even imagine what potentially it could be.
Well, I think we've been really fortunate here. This is a cold day, but it's not unbearably cold, and it's not illegally cold. And you and I were talking about the fact, had this series of events tried to be held last winter at the same time in January, I'm not sure we would have had a legal day to race. And the minimum standard in Fahrenheit is like -4 degrees in Celsius. That's about -20. And as you recall, last winter, we rarely reached those temperatures in the middle of the day.
It was brutally cold, absolutely. One of the coldest winters on record in this part of the North Woods. Who do we still have on course, Dennis?
You know, I'm not sure.
It's gotten kind of quiet here.
Yeah, Hans, we'll try to get an update from our neighbors next door timing. Well, it looks like we've got now final results. So Russia.
We understand we do have a skier still out. That's we're trying to clarify that.
Anyway, I'm looking at these graphics. It shows Russia in the gold medal position, the Ukraine in the silver, Norway in the bronze, Canada sits in 4th, Germany in 5th, Finland in 6th, and the United States in 7th position.
And for those who don't know, today there are no flower ceremonies. But with these conditions, I would imagine that probably worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. Here you see some of our forerunners, young athletes who are out there trying to pack that fresh snow in the tracks down before we have our concluding event of these World Championships. And this is another relay. 4 athletes on a team. 7 countries represented. It's an open relay, so there's no requirement as we did in the mixed relay where you had to have 2 legs skied by women and then 2 by men. Here we will see 7 teams with an all-male team lineup. The United States does not have a team entered in this competition, but we will have a team from China. So it's going to be exciting again. And once again, I think, Hans, as we look down this list, the countries that did well in this first event, I think you got to consider as favorites. You know, you look at those lineups for Ukraine, Russia, and Norway, and German. You know, they've got Martin Flieg and Nico Messinger.
Right.
And Germany's going to go with Martin and Nico skiing 2 legs. Yeah, correct.
That's interesting. I think that's the first. I don't think we've had that combination at all.
No, we haven't. Interestingly, Norway will use their great skier Håkon Olsrud twice. They're going to lead off with Stigsteiner Larsen, then Olsrud, then Sandhaugo, and then Olsrud.
Now, Denny, with this new snow, it obviously affecting the course. Are the skiers in the first event more affected, or the second? I mean, where does that lie?
You know, I think the conditions are fairly consistent because There's just enough snow coming down that normally if it's heavy snow, you don't want to be the leadoff skier because you're plowing into a deep, fresh track. But here, it's so light that I don't think it's going to make a big difference. Okay, and we're going to take a short break from our announcing.
got color in your cheeks. Do you ever get that feel that you can't shift, the tide that sticks around like summits in your teeth? Are there some aces up your sleeve? Have you no idea that you're in deep? I dreamt about you nearly every night this week. How many secrets can you keep? 'Cause there's this tune I found that makes me think of you somehow, and I play it on repeat until I fall asleep, spilling drinks on my settee. Do I wanna know if this feeling flows both ways? Sad to see you go, sorta hoping that you'd stay. Baby, we both know that the nights were mainly made for saying things that you can't say tomorrow day. Crawling back to you, never thought I'd calling when you left you, 'cause I always knew. Maybe I'm too busy being lost to fall for somebody new. Now I thought it through, crawling back to you. So have you got the goods? Been wondering if your heart's still open, and if so, I wanna know what time it should. Simmer down and poker up. I'm sorry to interrupt, it's just I'm constantly on the cusp. I've tried been to kiss you. I don't know if you feel the same as I do, but we could be together if you wanted to. guitar and Pat should play the drums. Take me back, back to the shack, back to the strap with the lightning strap. Kicking the door, more hardcore, rocking out like it's 94. Let's turn up the radio, turn off those stupid singing shows. I know where we need to go, back to the shack. I finally settled down with my girl and I made up with my dad. Had to go and make a few mistakes so I could find out who I am. I'm laying all of these feelings out even if it means I fail. 'Cause this is what I was meant to do and you can't put that on sale. Take me back, back to the shack, back to the start with the lightning strap. Kicking the door, more hardcore, rocking out like it's 94. Let's turn up the radio, turn off those stupid singing shows. I know where we need to go, back to the shack. We belong in the rock world, and there is so much left to do. And if we die in obscurity, oh well, at least we raise some hell. Take me back, back to the shack, back to the start with the lightning strap. Kicking the door, more hardcore, rocking out like it's 94. Let's turn up the radio, turn off those stupid singing shows. I know where we need to go, back to the shack. Let's turn up the radio, turn off those stupid singing shows. I know where we need to go, back to the shack. Oh yeah. Somebody's hiding, it's drowning my icebox. Somebody's cold one is giving me chills. Guess I'll just close my eyes. Oh yeah.
Welcome back to our broadcast from the 2015 IPC Nordic Skiing World Championships held here at the Telmark Event Center just outside of Cable, Wisconsin in northwest Wisconsin. And we're just about to begin our final competition. The athletes are coming to the line. I'm joined by local radio personality Hans Avenson. Hans, it's going to be exciting.
It is going to be exciting. It's snowing men. Hallelujah. In this final event, there is not a female to be found.
All right, and this is the open relay. We just had the conclusion of the mixed relay. You see the team list there. We've got the Ukraine, Poland, France, China, Russia, Norway, and Germany. You do not see an entry in this event for the United States, but we do have a new entry, which we did not have in the mixed relay, China. And as you pointed out, Hans, in this event, it's an open relay, so the teams can start anyone they wish, and all the teams have chosen to go with a male lineup. And the first team, the Ukraine listed there, it's going to lead off with Utkan. Then it's going to go to Reptuk, Yarovi, and Rashensky. A very talented group. From Poland, we'll see Pilch, Skupian, Rosiak, Pilch. So we see Janusz Pilch skiing twice. Then we'll go to the French team. David, Sassolon, David, and Claron.
And again, we see many of the teams going with the strategy of return trips out. on the track.
Right, Benjamin David from France will ski twice. Then the China team will have Liu, Du, Cheng, and Zhao, followed by Russia, Petuskov, Lekomtsev, Murgan, and the anchors will be skied by Rushan Minagulov. Then the Norwegian team of Larsen, Olsrud, Schanhaugo, and Olsrud will ski the anchor. And rounding out the field, the German team, Flieg will lead off with Messinger, then Flieg and Messinger. And as you pointed out, that's a little unusual.
It is unusual. It's the only way, it's the only country that's doing it that way. And I'm curious to see how they finish compared to these others who have multiple skiers out.
And Hans, they're underway. We've got to start. This is our last event. And they're dropping down that first hill from the stadium. This course is pretty open. The winds are pretty brisk. When they left the stadium, they had the wind in their face.
We stepped out of the booth here just a little bit ago, Dennis, and that it is a cold day out there. It's bitterly cold.
This course starts after they drop off the stadium, and it goes around on what formerly was the base of the Alpine Hill. Part of this is now a golf course, and then they transcend part of the Alpine Hill. They climb, descend, finally come up to the stadium. What's unusual about this is there will be no tag zone. The teams, the first leg skier will cross a line, and simultaneously then the second leg skier adjacent in another lane can start skiing his 2.5 kilometer loop. So this is a distance of 10 kilometers, 4 athletes each skiing 2.5 kilometers. And now we see the exchange zone and the second leg skiers starting to warm up. For the Ukraine, it will be Igor Repyuk. And for Poland, Witold Skupian.
And, of course, we saw a Pilch ski yesterday, Dennis, and very strongly.
Absolutely. The French team will have Anthony Selenson skiing, and then Haito Du for China will go out in the second leg. The very decorated skier, this whole lineup from Russia is very strong. Vladislav Lekomtsev is going to ski the second leg. The Norwegian team is going to have Håkon Olsrud, and then the German team will have Nico Messenger. And again, we have, Hans, different categories. We've got standing skiers, we've got sit skiers, and then we have visually impaired skiers skiing with a guide.
I think one of the most intriguing entries into this, Dennis, is China.
All of their skiers are in the standing category. For example, Russia is using the first and third leg. Petushkov and Murgan, very decorated in the sit ski category, and then 2 standing skiers. Norway is very similar. They go with the Larsen and Sandhaugo in the sit category, and then they have standing skiers, Larsen leading off, Olsrud anchoring.
Well, if you're looking for one country here to define the term all-star lineup, I think Russia's got to be the one there. Those, all of them, all 4 of those competitors have just been skiing at such a high level this week.
You know, we do not see the United States in this start, and we also don't see Canada, but we've added Poland and China. So again, we have an 11-team field.
What goes into the decision to enter and not to enter, in your opinion, Dennis?
Well, I think it's the roster they have and the athletes. You know, some of these, after so many days, probably are suffering a little fatigue. There we see the very strong sit skier, Petushkov, wearing bib number 12. And he's being chased by the Norwegian skier, Steiner Larsen, bib number 13. Then the German sit skier, that's Martin Flieg. He's had great races here. Now we see a standing skier. And this is the young man from China, Liu.
They are trying to stay warm at that starting line, Dennis.
And there we see jumping up and down the skier from France, Anthony Salençon. Yeah, just like you said,
he's really working at it.
He's trying to keep the circulation.
Yeah. Right. Well, I imagine it's a challenge to stay loose right now out there.
Absolutely. I know the occasions when I've competed in skiing, it's always the start I dreaded the most. Just let me get on course, let me get warmed up, let me get blood moving through the extremities.
Right. You don't want to stand there too long. That's got to be tough. The guide also is trying to stay loose.
And if you're new to viewing our Paralympics, the guide will precede the visually impaired skier and provide instruction. And you see the black backpack there on the back of the guide. That's a sound amplification system. So he speaks into a small microphone, and that amplifies the sound for his skier, the visually impaired skier.
And as we've commented many times too, Dennis, you can hear the guide in the booth here quite clearly.
And there you see the 7 teams: Ukraine, Poland, France, China, Russia, Norway, and Germany. And again, this is the final relay of these 2015 IPC Nordic Skiing World Championships from Cable, Wisconsin at the Telmark Event Center.
As you referred to, Dennis, some teams, of course, maybe not as deep a roster as others, and I think that certainly shows that, for example, Ukraine and Russia, very, very deep team.
And here comes the leadoff skier from the Ukraine. I recognize that team suit. That would be Utkin. No, that's the visually impaired skier. I'm sorry. Kazakov was the guide. And now we've got Igor Reptukyuk. Salençon, the visually impaired skier, just went off with his guide. We're looking at Lekomtsev, Vladimir, bib number 12, and bib number 9 is the Polish skier Witold Skupian. Both of those skiers are in the standing category. Here comes the great Russian sit skier Roman Petushkov.
Looking very strong as he comes across the line, Dennis.
And he's one of the most decorated skiers in the history of Paralympics. Number 12 is on course. That's Vladimir Lekomtsev, who's had just phenomenal results here. Now we see the Polish skier coming across, so his athlete will go off. That's Skupian and Rosiak. Rosiak is now on course. Kamil Rosiak of Poland. There you see the German team waiting for their skier exchange. And that's the Norwegian skier Håkon Olsrud. You see number 11, that's the young athlete representing China, Hayato Du.
We notice the Ukraine team, Dennis, has chosen to go with 4 different skiers as opposed to 2 or 3.
Absolutely, and here I'm trying to see that looks like team number 11, the Chinese skier. So that's Yan-Hu Lee, who's just finished his first leg, and Hayato Du is on course.
Well, we talked about China being a bit of a dark horse here, Dennis.
That's going to be interesting. For me, it's just exciting to see such an international field here in the far north woods of Wisconsin.
The fact they went with 4 stand-up is an interesting choice.
Right there you see The great sit skier from Russia wearing bib number 12. He's wrapped in a blanket. His coach is trying to keep him warm, and that will be Grigory Murgin.
Seen a lot of blanket use here in the starting gate here, trying to keep.
And Hans, I might add,
warm.
those blankets were provided by the American Birkebeiner Ski Foundation.
Ah, very nice.
We've had a real cooperative effort. There's equipment here from the Sealy Ski Club, from the American Birkebeiner. We've just had such an outreach by everyone in this area to make this possible. And there you see the red and white team suit of Poland. That's Witold Skupian. Again, this is the exchange zone. Very quickly here, we're going to start the third leg skiers. You see the Ukrainian skier, Maxim Yarovi. He's in the sit category, and another athlete who's just had great success here on these courses at Telemark. Taking off his warm-up jacket, coach there to assist him, trying to keep him as warm as possible. You see the Russian team giving their athlete, Murgin, a little back massage, keep the circulation moving.
There's definitely an increased attendance to the athletes today because of the cold.
Absolutely, and there you see in the blue suit in the standing category, that's Benjamin David. He's already skied the first leg. He will do the third leg, and then Thomas Claron will be the anchor skier for France. And that looks like that suit you commented yesterday on, the China skier. And now we've got some preliminary results after the first leg. And again, this is very unofficial, but it looks like, Hans, the Ukraine sits in first, France in second, Russia in third, Poland in fourth, Norway in fifth, Germany in sixth, and rounding out the field is China.
That could change quickly, Dennis.
It could. This is just after the first leg.
Very close between the Ukraine and France.
Yeah, half a second.
Half a second, you're much closer than that.
In fact, less than half a second. If my math is right, that's like 0.4 of a second.
Yeah. And away we go. Ukraine's getting ready for their next skier.
That's the sit skier, Maxim Yarovi.
Yarovi's been skiing very strong this week, Dennis.
Oh, yeah. We see these names, as we talked about in that first mixed relay. Names we frequently talk about and repeat and recognize from medal awards. All right, so the Ukrainian skier, Igor Reptuk, has just finished, and now Maxim Yarovi is on course, the sit skier. He wears the team number 8 for the Ukrainian team.
Yarovi looking very fast out of the gate on the course, Dennis.
All right, this is going to be a lot of fun because Yarovi is a great skier, but he's going to race against the great sit skier Grigory Murgin. Now, he's got a little bit of an advantage here. You see Grigory, I'm sure he's anxious to try to run down Yarovi as soon as his skier comes through, so the exchange is made.
Yeah, you're right. This is going to be fun between these two of the best out there in sit skiing.
And that was his teammate that just came across. And there you see him, Grigory Murgin. He's on course, high tempo. Anthony Solenson of France is in. David is on course. Now you see waiting there the Norwegian skier in the sit category, Sanhaugo. He's waiting for Håkon Olsrud, who has skied the second leg. But when Sanhaugo finishes his leg, he's going to tag off to Håkon Olsrud for the final leg, the anchor leg. And again, right now, and this is very tentative and unofficial, but Ukraine sits in first, Russia is chasing, and then currently in third is France. But I think it's fair to say, Hans, this could change a lot.
This really could, but this battle between Ukraine and Russia that seems to be shaping up is really one to watch right now, Dennis.
Absolutely.
Got to believe they're both going to be right there at the end.
All right, that was Håkan Olsrud, who just finished. He's got to try to, stay warm because he's going to have to go back out as soon as his teammate Jan-Ivar Sandhaugo finishes his sit-ski lap of 2.5 kilometers. Here comes the Germans in. This is the visually impaired skier Nico Messinger, and they're going to tag off.
And out goes
Martin Flieg.
Martin Flieg again.
Right, a sit skier.
Very strong skier. I would say we've got some of the strongest sit skiers within these countries' teams. This is a very strong field.
And that was Witold Skupian of Poland who came across, and now Kamil Roziak of Poland, the sit skier, is on course. This is the third leg for the Polish team. There you see the French athlete, Benjamin David. He skied the first leg. He's waiting for his teammate, Anthony Selenson. He's got a little war paint on his cheek there.
I see.
The colors of France.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a reason behind that. Of course, that as people who don't know, it's a technique to keep the face warm, correct?
Well, it is, but I think a lot of these athletes, and we see this with the U.S. women in relays, they add extra knee socks, they do a little face paint, and occasionally the U.S. women, some great athletes in their relays have even dyed their hair in red, white, and blue. So I think it's just, these are great events for these athletes. Cross-country skiing most often is thought of as an individual sport. It's you against the elements and the course, but I think it's always fun when you can participate in a relay.
Speaking of the elements, Dennis, weather seems to be, even and out now. We really haven't had much change. The winds continue to blow light but steady, and the snow continues to fall at pretty much the same rate it has been falling.
And here you see the skier from France, Selenson, and I believe that's the Ukrainian sit skier Yarovi, and he's still got a ways to go before he gets to the exchange zone. This is not really, it's deceptive because they're actually trying to climb a hill that brings them up to the elevation of the stadium, where we sit there below our sight line. There you see the Chinese skier skiing in, and that's Hayato Du, and he's going to tag off to his skier who's already on course, and that's Xiao Cheng. Mr. Cheng in the standing category. All the four teammates from China are in the standing category.
Obviously, China felt that was their strongest group, were the standing.
Correct. Here we see a sit skier. Now they've come down off the Alpine Hill, but again they have to make a sharp turn there, and then they go out of our camera sight because they make a climb. Now we'll see the same skier here. We're going to see him, and it looks very flat there, Hans, but they're actually starting to make an ascent up to the elevation of the stadium, and that's number 13. That's Sandhaugo of Norway.
Yeah, the picture is deceiving, Dennis. There's no doubt about it.
And again, these are tentative standings after two legs. Ukraine in first, then Russia. France follows currently in the bronze medal position, then Norway. Germany is in fifth, Poland in sixth, and China currently sits in seventh.
So
and
not much change at this point.
No, and this is the German skier, Martin Flieg. Number 9 is Rosiak, Kamil Rosiak of Poland, sit skier. And there we see the differentiation, still pretty close, because as we saw on that anchor leg, sometimes they're saving their fastest skier, Hans, until last. So we could see some change. But currently, as you see on your board, Ukraine first, Russia second, France third, then Norway, followed by Germany, Poland, and China.
Well, certainly Miniglov is going to be he's going to be the anchor there for Russia, and they're expecting him to really bring it home here.
All right, and this is the French skier Thomas Clairon. And there we see his teammate, Benjamin David. France is doing really well. They're currently in the bronze medal position. The visually impaired skier Thomas Clairon is off with his guide. You see his guide there with the bright yellow bib. You see David, he skied twice today in this final relay.
He's got reason to be resting there a little bit.
And now you see the anchor for Ukraine, that's Ryshinsky. Ryshinsky is in the visually impaired. He will ski with a guide. Also lined up, you see bib number 12. That's Rushan Minigulov in the standing category. And there you see the Russian third leg skier come in. Minigulov is on course. Murgan just finished his leg for Russia. Now you see, leaving the stadium to the right of your screen there was the Ukrainian team, a visually impaired skier, Ryshinsky, and his guide. Here you see the Polish team, number 9. This is Janusz Pilch. He skied the opening leg, so he's going to go back on course. That's team 11, China. I believe that was Shishu Chang. He's going to tag off to Dexon Zhao. Now that's the Norwegian team, number 13. And again, he skied the second leg, Håkon Olsrud. Norway would like to make up some time in this final leg because right now they're sitting in the 4th position, just out of the medals. Just over a minute separates them from France.
Looks like the winds are picking up a little bit, Dennis.
I'm sure not to the joy of any of the athletes or the volunteers or spectators. Nice, strong finish. And that's the Norwegian. Yes, there we go. We've got the final leg skier, Håkon Olsrud. He wants to chase down Thomas Clairon of France. There you see Sanhago, right? Great picture of this young athlete. More finishers here coming across is the German Martin Flieg, and on course is the visually impaired German athlete Nico Messinger. The Germans are only using 2 athletes, as you pointed out before, Hans.
Yeah, a little different strategy, as we've talked about, Dennis. And so far, I think that it's worked pretty well for them.
Yeah, having a great race. They currently sit in 5th position. There you see Norway, Poland, and Germany. Sit skiers, all 3, congratulating each other.
Still seems to be a battle between Ukraine and Russia at the top, though, Dennis.
Yeah, that's been true throughout all these competitions.
Absolutely.
It's been exciting. I know when you and I have been to some of the flower ceremonies or medal awards in the evening, it's a frequent hymn that we hear or national anthem of Russia or the Ukraine. And Hans, over the course of these competitions, we've had the benefit of over 400 volunteers. And we've talked about this before, many coming from great distances within the United States of their own expense. And we've even had a group of 4 women who flew from England just to volunteer. We had a young couple come out of Sao Paulo, Brazil, again, just to volunteer and at their own expense. So phenomenal support for these Paralympic athletes.
No question about it. International support as far as volunteers go, and that's wonderful to see. It brings so much culture to this event, from not only from athletes, but from people that are here just to help out and make it a better event.
And that's the anchor-leg skier we're looking at for China. It's trying to stay warm. That's Dexon Zhao. There you see skiers climbing the hill. The first team is the German team with the visually impaired skier Nico Messenger. And then chasing him, I think, from this distance, it looked like the colors of Poland, and that would be Janis Pilch if it is.
The flags are really stiffening right now, Dennis. The winds are definitely making a big move. They are picking up considerably.
Well, you know, working here in radio, I think you might be more familiar, but I think it's just going to get colder today.
I think so, too. And you can see the snow and kind of blowing around out there now. I have not noticed that before here at the front. Here it comes here we have a skier coming in.
Right, that's the Chinese third-leg skier, and there's their anchor skier. He's got a fast tempo as he leaves the start area. Dexon Zhao.
China's been fun to watch in this event, Dennis.
It has been. And, you know, we had earlier a skier from Mongolia. So to kind of see the Eastern Pacific Rim represented.
Yeah. Because there's no question some countries have really dominated these events.
Yeah, strong programs, depth of teams, as well
Right.
as a great deal of talent. And this is our final competition here in Cable, Wisconsin for the 2015 IPC Nordic Skiing World Championships. It's been a great success, I think. You know, I've had a chance to talk to the total spectrum of athletes, coaches, technical delegates, volunteers, organizers. I think everybody's really pleased. We don't have a great deal of an abundance of snow here, but everybody's worked real hard to make great courses. And here we see the French team coming in. So again, times will be adjusted because of the different categories of skiers, but they've had a great result. That was the visually impaired skier Thomas Claron, and they're very excited. Currently, they sit in first place. And here we had the Russian Rushan Minigulov, and now the Ukrainian team comes across with Rashensky, the visually impaired skier, and his guide. So very quickly here, we're going to be able to give you some results. Now, just in terms of real-time finish, it would be France first, Russia second, Ukraine third. But again, that's not necessarily the final result. We'll have to wait until we have some time adjustments based on the categories of skiers. And we've seen such a variety. We've seen sit skiers, standing skiers, and visually impaired, Hans.
It's been a very fascinating day of competition. Short, but again, what a way to wrap it up. And the people here at the IPC getting a look at some of the best that these countries brought here to Cable in this final day.
There we see some of the delegation from Russia in bright jackets. As we were talking about yesterday, it's really fun in these small towns of Hayward and Cable to be in the evening in a pizza restaurant or a grocery store and see these international representations.
Absolutely.
There you see the Russians. That was Rushan Minigulov.
And it's the little stories that come out of this event. One that comes to my mind is I got a chance to spend some time with Brian Price, one of the U.S. sit skiers. His daughter was here watching him compete the other day. And I don't know what she was having more fun doing, watching Daddy compete or just sliding down that big hill down by the bleachers. She was having a ball.
Well, it's great for the U.S. team to be able to have family and friends watch. And here we see, I'm pretty sure that's the team suit of Norway, and that would be Håkon Olsrud. He skied the second leg. He skis the anchor leg. Well, we've got some info. Here we go with graphics. And as I said, it's a little deceiving because
misleading.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we saw France come across first, but when you look at their lineup, they used all standing skiers. Well, visually impaired standing, no sit skiers. So with the time adjustment, it looks like Russia will be in. Well, now we've got a revision of that. So I'm going to wait until I don't want to misspeak here, Hans.
No, I think we should wait till we get some solid results. But if what is happening in front of our eyes here, as we're looking at some of the preliminaries, it indicates we could see some big changes, possibly.
We sure could. And that was, we want to give credit to the Polish skier who came across while we were confused about overall results. Janusz Pilch, who started the first leg for Poland, skied the anchor. Great result for Janusz. All right, it looks like we've got some final results, and now somewhat more like the finish order we saw, Hans. France sits in the gold medal position for their open relay team. Kind of a surprise.
A very big surprise. Ukraine and Russia dominated this open relay throughout most of the race, Dennis.
Right, and just the competitions all week. Congratulations to Norway, who sits currently in 4th position, and then if you saw that graphic, Poland is currently sitting in the 5th position, and here finishing strongly is the German team. And again, this is the visually impaired skier Nico Messinger and his guide. Congratulations to Germany.
And what a finish for France, Dennis.
Yeah, well, they were very excited.
Yeah.
We saw the athletes in the final leg. The whole team was out there to congratulate one another, as they should be.
And, of course, France was one of them that chose to send out one of their skiers twice.
Right. Benjamin David. He's been a strong skier, again, throughout these competitions.
Yeah.
All right, and again, preliminarily, it looks like France will earn the gold medal in this open relay. The silver medal position is Russia. In the bronze, Ukraine. And then in 4th place, Norway, followed by Poland, Germany. And we have one team on course.
China?
Right. The athletes from China will very soon, I think, be coming into our camera view.
Norway with a nice finish too, Dennis.
Absolutely. A strong team of Larsen, Olsrud, Sandhago, and Olsrud then again coming back on course to ski the anchor. There you see the delegation from Russia, having a great result, earning the silver medal in this open relay. You look down that Russian start line and you see Petushkov and Lekomtsev and Mirgan and Minigulov, and it's just an all-star lineup.
It really is. It's just and we talked about that before we began this final event, the open relay, that if there was an all-star team out there, certainly on paper it looked like Russia, but I think France turned out to be all-stars as well today.
Yeah, and here we've got our final skier. This is the final finish of the 2015 IPC Nordic World Skiing Championships, and congratulations to the team from China. the Anchor Lake skier Dexon Zhao is in your camera shot right there.
And we certainly have to, again, tip the hat to Ukraine, too. The Ukraine has been just as competitive as they could be all week long, and they certainly finished very strong again today in both events.
Well, it's been a lot of fun here. I know we've had representatives from Korea who are sort of shadowing this event as they anticipate the Winter Olympics coming there. I know the next...
What an honor that is.
Well, and the next Paralympic World Championships will be in 2 years in Germany, and they've also had a delegation here as well as German television. So I hope we've set a high standard here in Cable, Wisconsin. I know for Hans and I, it's been a lot of fun. And there we see the final results. France again in the gold medal, Russia in the silver, Ukraine in the bronze, Norway 4th, Poland 5th, Germany 6th, and rounding out the field, China in the 7th position. So congratulations to all the fine athletes who skied on those relay teams. Again, that was a 4x2.5 kilometer open relay. The final event here at the 2015 IPC Nordic Skiing World Championships.
Dennis, has been some awe-inspiring performances by these athletes this week. Just absolutely amazing.
Well, all I can say is, Hans, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun working with you and Peter over the course of the week. And on behalf of myself, Dennis Cruz, I want to thank all of you. I hope you've enjoyed this broadcast, and stay tuned. Thank you very much. Goodbye.